Hello and welcome to today's author webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Nikita and I'm part of the Learning and Content Management team. I will be hosting the session for you today. Now, let us take a look at the agenda for today. So we will start by giving you an overview of the author submission process in Editorial Manager. Please note that the steps may vary depending on the journal configuration and the type of article that is being submitted. Then I will take you through how to use the declaration tool when submitting a manuscript. Elsevier's declaration tool quickly and easily helps authors create a comprehensive statement which incorporates with the ICMJE, which is International Committee of Medical Journal Editors Declaration Standards. This declaration tool will produce statement in a Word form that can be uploaded alongside your manuscript and will appear in your published article. Then I will also take you through the various editorial statuses that your submission may progress through in Editorial Manager, a complete explanation of that. And finally, we will also be providing some information on the co-authorship verification. Now, I'm going to take you to the Editorial Manager test site to explore the submission process. Please note, I will be using our training site for the demonstration purposes with dummy users and dummy submissions. So this is how your Editorial Manager login page would look like. You will have the journal cover page, you'll have the journal name, and you will have an area to add your username and password. If you are a new user, please make sure to click onto this option, Register Now, to register yourself with the journal. If you're already a registered user and you would like to retrieve your username, you can click on to Send login details, which will send you a link to reset your password. Once I log into the details of my username and password, this is how the main menu would look like. When you click onto your name, there's a drop down. You have an option, a hyperlink, which is Update My Information. Update My Information will help you to update your profile details. If there is a change in institution, it is not required for you to create new Editorial Manager account. Rather, you can just click on to the Update My Information, update your affiliation details, email ID, etc. It will help you to avoid having duplicate accounts for a single journal. To submit a manuscript, what are the first requirements that is expected out of author is to make sure that you check into instructions for author. You will find it in the About drop-down, instructions for authors right here. This is nothing but guide for authors, where you will have guidelines on the manuscript word counts, file requirements, and other important information that is required for your submission. So it is extremely important for you to familiarize yourself with the journal before you start preparing for the manuscript. Once you have gone through the instructions for authors, you can start submitting the manuscript. And for that, you will have to click on to Submit New Manuscript. So let me start with the first step. Here, you will have a lot of options of your incomplete submissions, where the submissions which you have started but you haven't completed, the system will give you an opportunity to either use that or go for a new one. So let me take you and start with a new manuscript. First option is article type selection. This enables you to understand what kind of article type would you want to choose from the drop-down. So you will have multiple article types. This again depends on the journal. So sometimes you will have multiple special issues. So if you want to submit your manuscript to a special issue, please ensure you select the appropriate special issue article type. But now for this particular training purpose, I'm going to be using full-length article. Some journals do ask you to link to your ORCID ID. If you would want to, please make sure you click on to what is ORCID. This will give you a complete idea of what it is. Now I'm moving on to the next step. So once I click proceed, I'm going to be getting attach file step. So in this step, you will be able to notice a pop-up box that would come on the right of your screen, which would be about generative AI. So if you are using a generative AI or AI assisted technology, there will be a statement mentioned there. You will have to download it and introduce it at the end of your manuscript directly before the references. So all the information related to generative AI usage and etc. will be mentioned in that pop-up box. So in the attached file, I have an option to browse my files. So let me first start with manuscript. So once I browse and added the manuscript, I'm able to see the item name and the description that's been added. At the same time, you can see in to your left, there are three important item type that needs to be uploaded. One is manuscript, the other is a cover letter, and the last one is declaration of interest. So once I submitted the manuscript, you could see it has turned into green. Now I'm going to be choosing the next cover letter and I'm going to browse it. You can also use the drag and drop option here and you can scroll down and see whether the information is uploaded and again go for the third one. So if you see here, there are two mandatory item type that's turned green, which means I have uploaded both. Now I'm going to go to the declaration of interest and that's uploaded as well. So now everything has turned into green. I will take you through declaration of interest in the next agenda. But before that, please make sure you upload all the information and have a check on the description. And also, please make sure if you are trying to edit the description, there should be no personal identifiers added. Some journals do also have option of research data. So when you click on to the research data, you will be asked to enter a URL right here where the data is hosted and provide additional information such as repository name and title of the dataset. In the future, it will also become possible for you to upload data directly into the Mendeley data. Now, cover letter is not mandatory for all journals, but for some journals, it is deemed as mandatory. It's just a simple, brief business letter which is designed to introduce your manuscript to the prospective editor. So if the guide for authors do not specify what you need to be included in the cover letter, you may wish to include some of the following items that I'm going to be listing now. So please make a note. Please specify any special considerations that needs to be given to the paper, if there is any. A brief background regarding the research involved on how the data was collected, details of any previous or concurrent submissions, and it is also useful to provide the editor-chief with any information that will support your submission. For example, original or confirmatory data, relevance, topicality, etc. Declaration of interest. For some journals, this is a mandatory file type. I'm going to be explaining to you in detail as to what this is and how do we work around with it. But in either event, such a statement is mandatory from an ethics perspective. At this stage, if you would want to remove any of these item type, you can very well select it just like this and click on remove. Now, I'm going to go to the next step. Now, the next step is general information. Now, general information step will have a complete differing requirements, which depends on your journal again. The first is the region of origin. You can add the region of origin that's applicable for you. Next is the section or category. That section or category should be related to your manuscript from the drop-down menu, which would again differ journal to journal. So I'm choosing one for the demonstration purpose. And the next one is classifications. Now, classifications are fixed terms that's created for the journal, whereas the keywords are a free text that users can add it in the manuscript data step. So once you have provided all these required information, you can click on proceed. Now, let me take you through what happens if I click on proceed and there is a required information right here, an asterisk that mentions that I need to add 3 or more classifications. I'm going to proceed and show you what happens. So once I click on proceed, which means my general information option is not complete. That's the reason why there's a stop symbol. It gives you an indication that this information needs to be updated. Then you can just click on to this particular stop option. So now I'm going to be adding the classifications. Now you have a symbol here, important information symbol as well. So let's see once we add the classification, what happens. So I'm going to be adding the random 3 classifications and clicking on to submit. And now that particular symbol has gone. So this is how you will make sure that all the information is complete step by step. Now I'm moving on to the next step. Next is the review preferences. Now this step depends on the journal's requirement. You will see different options on the review preferences step. You will have the option to request an editor to handle your paper, or you will also have to suggest potential reviewers for your submission, and you will also have an option to oppose reviewers whom you would prefer not to review your submission. So please note that these are just preferences. The editor may or may not use these suggestions. So let me take you through by adding all these information. Now in the suggest reviewers, I'm going to be adding 1. All right, I will be adding all the mandatory information and clicking on to this particular option, floppy, this save option will let me save. Now, if I want to add more suggested reviewers, I can very well do that also by clicking right here. If in case you have multiple reviewers to be suggested, once you add the first reviewers, you can use this particular icon, which will help you to save the current name or the email address and add one more as well. Now there is no mandatory option to add a post reviewer, so I'm moving on to the next. The next step is additional information. Now this step presents you with questionnaires. This also depends on the journal, and the journal will use this to collect useful information. So please respond to this as appropriate. I'm just going to be choosing options. And I have added all these informations, and I'm moving on to the next by clicking proceed. The next step is comments. This will give you an opportunity to enter any additional comments for the journal office. These comments will not appear directly in your submission, so you can add it for your editor's preference, reference, like what information you want to give related to that of your manuscript. I'm not going to be adding anything, and I'm moving on to the next. At this point, if you find that you have any of the missing information, you can find that here in the progress bar. If there's anything in red, that means that information needs to be updated. Similarly, here as well, there are a lot of information that's missing. Let's take it one by one. So I have the title ready. Now I'm going to be adding all the information. So from an author's perspective, it is important for you to make sure that all the information that you've added here is correct. So please take a check. Please make sure to check on this. Then you have keywords and author's name. Now in the author's name section, you see that there is an error that's coming up. What is that error? You can see here. Let me just click onto this pencil icon and I will be able to see if there is any error here. So if you look into this, the contributor roles have not been added. So how do I do that? There's a pencil icon right here, and I can add all the information that's missing and save it. So once I save it here, the contributor role gets saved and the stop symbol disappears, and I'm going to save it right here. So if you have more than one author, you can very well rearrange them by using this particular option, the 3 dots right here. You can do that. Now You have funding information. Please make sure you choose the right option for the funding information. Now, this particular option is extremely important. Please add any funding source, or you can choose funding information is not available as well. Before moving on to the next step, the one important information is related to the author's name. So it is very important for you to choose the right information, right institution name, etc. from the drop down right here that I showed, as you might be eligible for institutional and society discounts that can reduce your articles publishing charge for gold open access. So please make sure you check all these details again, and then you proceed to the next step. Now I have added no funding information. If in case you want to understand what are the required information, anytime across this entire editorial manager, you can click onto this eye icon, which will give you entire information as to what this particular functionality is about. At this stage, if you would still want to take some time and submit this later, you can very well use save and submit later. But now I'm going to be using Build PDF for approval. Now my PDF is getting built. This is the title. And before I proceed further, there is an open access publishing option also, which is not configured currently in this particular training site. So some journals do encourage authors to view and select the appropriate open access publishing options during the submission itself. So please make sure you look into all that information, choose the right option, and then proceed. At this point, your build PDF might take a little bit of time depending on the file size. And once that's done, I have one demo manuscript ready for the session. Now, at this point, the first option is to make sure that I choose all these guidelines and copyright terms. I look into it and then click on to I accept. So once you click on to I accept, you will have to view the submission. So in the actions column, you will have an option to view, edit, etc. So at this point, if you would still want to edit the submission, you can very well do that. And if you have to approve the submission, you will have to click on to view submission. So once I click on to the view submission, I will have this manuscript in a PDF form downloaded, so I can view it, check if any information is missing. Now I'm going to click on to the approve submission. Here, the ORCID ID, the first step that we saw during the attach file step, that would appear. You can click on to proceed without ORCID. Now here you will also get a warning box, which will prompt you whether you want to go ahead with this submission. I'm going to click OK. So once I click OK, I'm going to be getting a message that this particular manuscript has gone to the journal, and it will be the entire process will start, the review process will start, and the editor will look onto the manuscript. Now, at this point, if you think that you want to make corrections, you will not be able to do it from your side. You will have to contact the support or the journal manager. You must have noticed there is a question mark symbol right here, a resource center, which has a chat option as well. You can very well reach out to the Elsevier support and contact them if in case you have any kinds of questions. Now, like I mentioned, we have our second agenda, which is how to use the declaration tool in Editorial Manager. Now, I'm going to be taking you through again to the second step, which is attach file step, and we're going to see how to use the declaration tool. Now, declaration tool is very important and a mandatory file type for most of the journals. Transparent disclosure of potential competing interest is essential to meeting your ethical obligations and nurturing trust in science. So we offer a declaration tool in Editorial Manager itself that quickly and easily will help you all to create a comprehensive statement which incorporates with the IGMJE declaration standards. So this statement will be uploaded as a Word document alongside your manuscript and will appear in your published article. There are two main areas where you could find. One is, of course, in the instructions for authors or guide for authors link, which is right beneath about. And you will also find it here in the attach file step. So I have the declaration tool open. So once I click this particular link, I will be taken to a new window altogether. So this is how the declaration of interest tool page would look like. And these are the options that's available for you that will be appearing in the new tab. Now, you can read further information related to declaring your interest. When ready, you can start your declaration by choosing this particular option as you scroll down. So just like we saw in Editorial Manager, you have a progress bar right here. So you have a lot of options in the declaration tool. What are the information that you need to complete to go to the next step? So the first one is research support for this reported work, where you will be declaring any support or any of your co-authors have received from certain type of third parties since the initial conception of this research. Note, you don't have to list any academic institutions or public funding sources from charitable foundations or government agencies here, but you will have to you may have to fill the details of this support by typing the organization name and selecting relevant information that's required, non-financial support, etc., and who has received the support as well. You will have to add that information. If your research has not received any additional support that should be declared, you can very well use the toggle off option right here. Now you can move on to the next step, which is other support. Now, before you move on to the next step also, you have an option here called Save Declaration for Later. So what does this mean? This means that you will be able to use it later. You would want to save the declaration for later and come back within the next 30 days. Now I'm taking you to the next one, which is other support, where you will have to disclose any kind of relevant support outside this reported work, where you will disclose if you or any of your co-authors have any financial interest or personal relationship related to the subject matter, but not directly to the manuscript. So this time frame for the other support is within the last 3 years. So the time frame is within last 3 years. If in case you don't have any information right here, you can toggle off, but you have multiple declarations to make here. You can use declare another relationship option here and use it. Now I'm going to toggle this off and move to the next step, which is intellectual property. Okay. Now in patents and intellectual property, this page will allow you to disclose any relevant patents or copyrights licensed to you or any of your co-authors. And once you have either filled all these information that's available, you can or fill off all the information, or you can toggle it off if you do not have anything to indicate. Moving on to the next, which is other activities. Now, other activities, this is the final page of the declaration tool where you can submit any further information that a reader could perceive to have influenced the work that has not been covered in the previous pages. You have no text as well you can add in. And once you have either filled it very well, or you can toggle it off. You may use this option, which is review declaration. So what does this take you to? This screen will completely summarize all the information that you have added in the first 4 steps. So you can either click the back button here, right, and make all these changes if in case you want to make any changes in these steps, or you can click on to submit and download if you're happy with the content. Now, once I click submit and download, You will be offered the option to enter your email address right here to save your declaration statement. So you will receive the same prompt if you would want to save your progress at any time while using the tool as well. You will be prompted to enter a one-time passcode, and you can download this declaration later. And now you can go back to this tool and download it within the next 30 days. If in case you don't want a passcode, you have all the information, you can use no thanks, I want to download without saving it. Now your declaration is ready. Like I mentioned, it will be in the Word document. You can come back here and upload it here using declaration of interest option. And make changes to your item type, as this is declaration of interest, and make the description changes as well. We have taken you through the entire submission process and how to use the declaration tool as well. Now I'm taking you back to the presentation to give you a glimpse of how do you track your submission. What is tracking your submission? Once an author finishes writing paper and submits it to the journal, the system will show the status of this manuscript as manuscript submitted. So based on the workflow of the journal, the editorial office or the editor will perform a technical check on your manuscript. They will check the manuscript word count, format, and figure quality, etc. All this information, you will find it in the instructions for authors as well. Next, the next step is assigning it to either editor-in-chief or an associate editor for further handling. Journals usually have multiple associate editors who are experts in a particular niche within the broader subject area. Your manuscript will be handled by the editor who has the highest level of understanding and experience with your paper's research topic. Now, the status will remain with the editor until the editor makes the final decision or invites reviewers. Next is the handling editor will have a different action choices. First is to make a desk reject or send the paper for revision or invite reviewers. Now, the editor will also conduct an initial screening of your paper and access it against several criteria such as novelty, priority, and scope. If your paper is a better match for another journal, you may be offered a manuscript transfer as well. Also, it's possible that your paper does not meet some of the assessment criteria, and then the editor will reject it before going into peer review. If editor decides that your paper is a good match for their journal, they will identify 2 or 3 independent reviewers, again depends on the journal configuration, and send them an invitation to review your manuscript. Now, once the paper is sent for review, and then the editor invites reviewers, the status of the manuscript will change to under review. Once the required number of reviews are received and recommendations are submitted, the status of the manuscript will show as required reviews completed. Now, the handling editor will carefully study the review reports. It can happen that the referee reports are conflicting also at this case, in which case the editor will need to find additional reviewers. When this happens, the submission will return back to under review status. Now, when the editor has received enough high quality feedback from reviewers, they will begin the decision-making process and move the status to decision in process. Now, the decision may be confirmed by multiple editors in some journals, and the manuscript will move to editor-in-chief account. Now, editor-in-chief will have to submit his or her decision. What are the decisions? What are those terms? Let's see one by one. The first is revise, where the editor has requested that you revise the submission. You will find the details of the changes required and the deadline for your revision in the decision letter itself. Next, accept or reject. The submission process has completed with either an accept or reject decision. In the case of accept, the manuscript will begin the production process and you will continue to receive information related to that. Next is transfer pending. Now, the editor has rejected your paper and suggested to transfer. The editor has recommended that the submission be transferred to another journal via our automatic article transfer service, and you will be offered a transfer. But we will not proceed before you respond to us. So it will be mentioned as transfer pending. So once you accept the transfer, the submission will show as submission transfer. So we have now also introduced a submission tracker tool to more than 2,000 plus journals. So once a journal is using submission tracker, an email is sent to the corresponding author when the first reviewer is invited. As you can see from this particular screenshot, the email will contain a link right here to the submission tracker landing page, where the author can view the status of the review process of the submission. And please note that the same link will remain active throughout the end-to-end peer review process. And we're expecting to have this submission tracker tool available to all journals in the near future. So this is how the submission tracker landing page for a manuscript or a submission looks like. Here you can completely monitor the status of your manuscript, and this is a screenshot that we have for you. This is how it would look like. Now comes a very important portion of handling fake acceptance letter. At Elsevier, we want to help all our authors to stay safe when publishing. So we are aware that there are a number of scams in operation which seek to fraudulently obtain money from authors. Typically, these schemes take form of emails purporting to be from a journal's editorial office asking authors to pay a fee. Often this request is made at the same time as announcing that the paper has been accepted for publication, even though in reality it would still be in editorial review workflow. So there are some tips that is there on your screen right now, which can help you avoid being scammed and you can stay safe when publishing. I'm just going to read a couple. First is the request for payment, especially if you have not chosen to publish in a Gold Open Access journal. You should be wary of any communication requesting that you transfer money to enable publication. In case of Gold Open Access journals, Elsevier will only ask for payment after your paper has been accepted for publication. And also, please make sure to check all the emails that you receive, because our emails requesting from Elsevier would always come from @elsevier.com address. Now moving on to our next agenda, which is co-authorship verification. So when submitting, authors are asked to list all the co-authors for the submission, and editorial manager journals request co-authors to confirm their co-authorship as well, as this helps to ensure that the authorship includes all individuals who have made significant contribution to the conception, design, execution, or interpretation of the manuscript. Now, how do you verify your contribution as a co-author? Request to verify may be for a new submission or for a revised submission. If you look into the screenshot that's there on the screen, the journal will be sending you email notification, which would look like this, which would include deep links where journals will ask you to register or log in to confirm your co-authorship, which will also allow you to view the status of the submission that we saw previously. So please make sure you click onto it and accept it. Now, some journals will also ask you to register or log in to confirm your co-authorship verification through that deep link, which will allow you to again view the status of the submission of the entire manuscript. So in that case, you will be able to get this login page where you can add your username and password and you can create your account. Now, the entire information related to this, we also have a video where co-authorship verification details and specific of it is there. So please make sure you look into it, which will be posted in the chat section. So the reminders for your co-authorship, you might receive up to 2 reminders. So please make sure you look out for that email if in case you are the co-author for any manuscript submission. So this is how it would look. Once you register yourself, you will be able to find this particular paper under submissions being processed. And this is how you will be able to locate in the main menu itself. We have on the screen the author guide to editorial manager. I'm going to show you, this is how the author guide to editorial manager would look like, where you have a learning pathway, which would include instructional videos and articles. Now, although the abstract is one of the last elements of an article that needs to be written, but it is the first elements that will be read. So these are the 5 important value of your abstract that's been listed out on your screen. And to find the right journal for your paper, abstracts are used as a key option in Elsevier's Journal Finder tool to suggest journals which have published articles with content similar to that of your manuscript. The link to the Journal Finder will now be posted in the chat section. So please save that. And the value of your abstract, the 5 main pointers, are on your screen now. Thank you everyone for joining, taking time to attend the session. See you all next time. Thank you.